Hi there, and very warm welcome to the Sunshine Club. And I really want this to be a hub for anything to do with recovery from grief and loss. And that's not necessarily loss through bereavement and loss of the loved one, although that's what we expect when we talk about grief and grief recovery. It's also about divorce and any other life events that happen to us where we have the feelings of loss and the emotional grief and turmoil that those events might put us through. So we're talking about grief recovery, and in the Sunshine Club what I bring to you is lots of tools, techniques, ideas, things that I've come across that have helped me, and in turn I've turned those ideas into different concepts that can really help us to live a much happier life. So I'm Stell, and it's really nice to meet you, and thank you for stopping by and watching this video and finding out more. I am the founder of the Sunshine Club. I am a grief recovery specialist, a life coach. I'm also a mum, a sister, I'm a grandma, a friend, and so many other things besides. But I'm a woman who is on a mission to help as many people as possible come through grief and loss. Because today I believe we are not taught about grief and loss, and we're not taught how to deal with our emotions and our feelings when that situation arises and something happens to us. And before we know it, we're in a situation of feeling grief and emotional turmoil, but not in a place where we can actually deal with it, and that is where it impacts on our health and well-being. So grief is the normal and natural reaction to loss, but it's clearly the most powerful of all emotions, and it's very different for each individual. Some people cope with loss very, very well. Others, it turns their world upside down and inside out. And that is what happened to me in 2017 when I experienced the loss of 3 loved ones. So my grandma passed away with dementia. My partner passed away quite tragically through suicide, and a dear friend who had just turned 40 and was a mum also passed away with cancer. So I had 3 major deaths in my life over a period of about 7 months, and this just rocked my world. It turned my world inside out, and what I discovered was nobody teaches us how to deal with our loss and our feelings, and in turn it was compounded by previous losses that I had. So back when I was 25, I lost my mum to breast cancer, and then again in my late 30s I got divorced and again experienced grief and loss. My children have left home, I was experiencing grief and loss. So all of these compounded in 2017, which took me on a roller coaster of a journey. And I was trying to keep a family home up and running. I was working away because I ran my own business, and I was also renovating my house. Don't ask me why these things happen. And my whole life and my whole world crashed, and I didn't know how to get out of it. I was always the one who kept busy, who threw themselves into work, was a workaholic, and I masked my emotions, and I masked how I was dealing with the events in my life by keeping myself busy. And I was also being strong for those who were left behind. So in Jonathan's case, I was being strong for his friends, for his father who's in his 90s. I was really the glue trying to keep everybody together, but I wasn't actually looking after me. And that's when, at the end of 2018, my whole life crashed. My body crashed, and I decided that I really needed to get out of the situation that I was in. So I went on the journey of learning about grief, learning about grief recovery, and putting my life back together again. And this is what I now teach and share in the Sunshine Club, and it's why I want it to be a hub, so I can now share that information with you. So grief, what is it? Well, it's the conflicting feelings caused by the end of or change in a familiar pattern of behaviour. So what we were familiar with and the circumstances that we were in with friends and loved ones when a life event has occurred, that is now changed, and we go through this conflict. So let me explain. So for example, if you've lost a loved one and it's been as a result of a long-term illness, on one hand you may be relieved that they are no longer suffering, but on the other hand you're really missing them, and you're missing seeing them and talking to them and feeling them and having that conversation. So one hand you're relieved that the person is now no longer suffering, but on the other hand you're also experiencing the loss of things that are no longer as they used to be. And it's the same with divorce as well. So on one hand we might be feeling that we've now got a new sense of freedom, and on the other hand it's like, oh, I'm never going to meet anybody else ever again. And again, that's the conflict of feelings that we feel, and it's grief. We are grieving the loss of loved ones, whether they're living or dead. So there are over 40 types of grief and loss type life events which can have a major impact on our life. The problem of dealing with grief is that we are not taught how to deal with it. We don't get taught about how to deal with grief in school. What we do is pick up from people around us of the types of things or the expectations that we should feel. So whether we need to be strong for others, whether we need to keep busy, whether time will heal. These are all myths, and actually none of them serve us in truly recovering from our grief, which is where grief recovery comes in. So grief is about a broken heart. It's not about a broken brain or thinking. You know, your brain is rational. It's telling you should be fine, you should be getting over this. But actually it's your heart that's broken. And when that heart is broken, it's very hard to put it back together again, because we're simply not taught how to. And that's what grief recovery does. It works with your heart and your emotions in putting them back together again. And that's where I was on my journey back at the beginning of, well, the end of 2018. I decided that I needed to put my life back together again. I was working as a consultant, going into large organisations and running projects and programmes and being away from home a lot, and really my focus was to keep busy and be that workaholic. And then my body crashed at the end of last year, and I had to make a conscious decision then to put my life back together again. So, you know, we all go through things of binge eating, not looking after ourselves, not doing the exercise, not investing in our own personal development, thinking we know how we can get through things when really we haven't got a clue. So I was at this brick wall at the end of last year, and I've been on that journey of putting myself back together again, and that's now what I teach in the Sunshine Club. So the first part is grief recovery, and it's what we call completing on the losses. So getting out that mixed emotions, those mixed feelings, getting them out and being able to complete on the loss. And that's either on a one-to-one program or online with me, where we go through 7 sessions of grief recovery. And all I know is I went through this earlier in the year. I then trained to be a grief recovery specialist, and I found peace. And I found peace to the point where I now want to share it with everybody else. In addition, there's also another online course which I have brought together to actually audit your life, because what I found, especially coming out of the tragic death of my partner Jonathan, my whole life was upside down. So my finances were a mess. I didn't socialise with friends. I'd started to switch off from them. Hobbies, well, I was a workaholic, so I didn't have any hobbies. I had no direction and purpose in life. So again, I went on, I joined a course called Dare to Grow, which actually brought me and my thinking as to what I want to do with my life, which is a big part of why I'm here in the Sunshine Club, is teaching you, is because I went on Dare to Grow and found my purpose. So we talk about purpose and vision as part of auditing your life, and really assessing where you currently are, and then putting plans together to take that step forward as to the life you want for you. So there's really two strands to the Sunshine Club. One is grief recovery, one is auditing your life and putting your life back on track again. And it's as simple as that, really. So if you want to find out more, then please book a discovery call with me. I'm happy to talk to you and discuss what your needs and requirements are, and then putting a plan together to take you forward beyond grief and loss. So I look forward to seeing you in the Sunshine Club. Thank you and have a good day. Bye for now.